Welcome to my channel, Love, Light, Liberty, and I'm your host, Roxlight. Tonight is June 29th, 2026. It's Sunday, and we are full moon in Capricorn tonight. We are currently in the zodiac sign of Cancer, which started June 21st, which will also run until July 22nd. So, our full moon will always be in our opposite zodiac sign, and the opposite of Cancer is Capricorn. Tonight, I'm going to go over the full moon and the new moon cards from the Moonology Manifestation Oracle card deck by Yasmin Boland. And then it will be the mystery show and tell item, but this month it'll be just something I'm going to tell you about. And then last will be the spooky ghost story. I hope you sit back, relax, get yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and enjoy the show. The Native Americans called June's moon the strawberry moon, not because the moon is going to be pink or red or anything like that, but it's because of the strawberry fruits that are all ripe in the month of June. So the full moon card for this month is the full moon Capricorn. Take a reality check. This card has two sides to it, literally and metaphorically. If you've been worrying about something, the good news is that you shouldn't waste another moment worrying, as it won't help. Some things only happen once, and that can be really good news. If you're wondering about how something you've keen on is going to turn out, this card could be a sign that you've hit a roadblock. If you want to change that, you're going to need to put in an extra effort with your manifesting work. Manifesting balance. Find a balance between facing your reality and be kind to yourself and others. The manifesting mindset is if you're not happy with the message of this card, use the old trick of finding the best thought you can about your situation and go from there. So, manifesting ritual and get some. It said add laurel essential oil to your diffuser. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, ask for divine assistance, and you need strength to get through this time. So, um, ask your spirit guides or whatever to help you with your best possible outcome. Your manifestation affirmation is everything's always going to work out in my favor. And when to manifest, the best time to work your magics when the moon in Capricorn is on a Saturday. Okay, and the full moon in Capricorn takes place when the sun's in Cancer and the moon is in Capricorn, which is tonight. So, what I can say about reality check, this is a hard reality even to live in as is, and it's hard to keep a positive mindset. So, there's two kinds of people out there. There are those that are proactively positive for the most part, and then there's the negative Nancy's out there. So, let's talk about the two different kinds of viewpoints people have. So if you're positive and you want to do manifestation, you need to do positive talk out into the universe, and things that you can say about your reality. If you're not happy with it, is things aren't falling apart, things are falling into place. The universe has my back. Good things will come from this experience. Everything's going to get balanced out, or you can say everything is a learning lesson. Negative mindsets can be saying, my life sucks, I hate my life, nothing ever works out, when it rains, it pours, the universe hates me, everything bad always has to happen to me. And you can see when you speak these things out into the universe, what exactly is going to come back is the reality you're manifesting out there. So you want to, even if things seem negative, there's always going to be a positive result in the end, or some good that's going to come out of something. You might not see it at the immediate moment in time, but you'll see it later, or you'll be able to understand it later when you look back at it. So when you say a positive mindset out loud, then it becomes your affirmation. um, telling the universe, I affirm that this is going to be true. This is my true reality that I want to live and experience, if that makes sense. I know that I used to have a kind of a negative attitude when my life kind of didn't seem to be going the way I wanted it, and I always would say, and I was like almost every day I would be like, well, God, my life sucks. I hate my life. I would just say that, and I told myself one day I'm going to stop saying that because that is not positive at all, and I just get stuck in it. It's like a record that's scratched, and when you're on that scratch, it just keeps bumping, and it can't move forward. It's on it, and it's over and repeating it, and it's a cycle, and you got to break the cycle. You don't want to be in a negative mindset. And I'm not saying that everything's rainbow and unicorns. I'm just saying be conscientious of what you're throwing out there in the universe. Things are like a wave and a ripple. Like when you throw a rock into the pond, it makes waves and ripples and carries on further out, and you don't know who it affects or touches. So when you are positive, you can even be smiling. You don't even have to be saying anything out loud. I mean, people see that and can pick up on vibes and stuff like that, and it might help their day. I don't know. Like, you ever see somebody just happy out in public and they're like trying to dance a little bit or smile, and they're just moving their arms. It's just their vibe is like completely like in their own little world, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool, and it makes you might giggle or smile at them. See, they're not knowing that that's happening. Or what about somebody in public that has a terrible vibe and they're behaving badly and being very negative and just throwing out all this negative stuff, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to be like, wow, I shouldn't have even went out today, or I wish I went to saw that or run across that. So it's not just about us in the world. If you think about it, it's about us and everyone that we affect that around us. All right. Well, I hope that helps. On to the next will be the new moon. So the new moon was earlier in the month, June 15th, which was on a Saturday. I know that's already passed already, but we're still in the month of June, and I think the information is relevant because it ties into what we were just talking about with the full moon. So I am going to go over it. And this is called Think It Through. A positive outcome lies ahead. However, to take this opportunity from the ethers and make it real, you need a positive mindset. On some level, you already know how to get what you want. Use your smarts, think it through. Look for the signposts about what to do next. Ask, what am I expecting? Focus on positive expectations. Expectations attract. If you're having doubts, talk to someone. Make a list of your goals. There's a way through. Use your mind and your words to help others see your way. Manifesting focus is this card is especially good sign for matters related to a flirtatious situation, anything written, or an upset you've had, or a relationship that feels blocked. Expressing whatever's on your mind is always a good idea. This card suggests that you need to do some inner work and trust your intuition. Um, Close your eyes and meditate on your desires for at least 5 minutes. What comes up? Write it down. The manifestation affirmation is knowledge is powerful and I am powerful. The ideal time to work your magics when the moon's in Gemini is on a Wednesday. So again, it's talking about positive mindset, um, trusting your intuition and writing things down and just believing that you are going to get through whatever it is. You just have to think how you're going to go about doing it. Um, I think of life kind of like roads. Like, if you miss a certain exit, there's still going to be another exit or another route to take. I mean, this weekend I was traveling and I kind of missed the turn, or I couldn't get into the turn because we were on a detour. And I said, okay, well, we're going to do another detour. We're going to do our own detour. And our own detour kind of was beneficial in the end. Because so there's many routes to take. It's not everything's not just so rigid. It shouldn't be your life so rigid. It's only one way to do something. There should be multiple options or ways. And like it said, if you can't figure something out, like ask somebody what they're like, what their thoughts of it are, because sometimes two brains are better than one on figuring things out. If you can't think it through because you're just too overwhelmed, yeah, ask somebody. Don't You don't have to go through everything alone or all on your own, just because you feel like you should. Um, Ask a friend, or ask a therapist, or go to a book for advice, or even go on YouTube and see what other people did on a certain thing. Or but in the end, ultimately, your decision should be yours, and not anybody else's. And whatever anybody else has to offer as advice is just added information for you. Okay, remember, it's your life. You create your reality. Don't let other people do it for you. You don't want other people running your life. So um, yeah, so this is about just thinking things through, using your smarts, and what positive expectations are going to come out of things. So see how I feel like that new moon tied into the full moon? It's like they're both were connected in the same energy thought process on it all. All right, well, I hope that kind of helps guide you for the month of June. I know we're almost in the month of July already. This year has gone just so fast. It's crazy. All right, so stay tuned, and I'm going to talk to you about the mystery story. So this month, I'm gonna just talk to you kind of about what's been going on with my life, because for those of you that know me, and if anyone else that missed the month of May, I didn't do any video for the month of May. And there was actually two full moons in the month of May. There was one in the beginning, and there was one at the end. And the reason why I missed the whole month of May is because the month of May, my grandson was born. I am now a grandmother for the first time, and I put all my time and energy towards the birth of my grandson and spend some time with him. So I hope you guys understand. Family is, to me, when I sit there and hold them, I say to myself, family is one of the most spiritual things, and it's the beginning of everything. Like, you gotta love your family first before you can reach out and love others. So yeah, he's a boy, and he's doing great right now. He's gaining weight, and he's healthy and happy, and everybody's just ecstatic that he is here and now. So that's what happened for the month of May. um Today was kind of crazy. I was trying to do this video. I Over the weekend, I've been going to Pokemon shows with my son because he's a vendor. We were in Houston all weekend, and today we got back late last night. So today I was a little bit exhausted, and I was like, oh, I don't even know if I can do this video, much less be at my desk. So I tried doing it like how I was doing it in Canva, the website that I used to put this all together. I guess they had updated a new version of it, and I couldn't seem to record, and I was just going round and round. I almost just gave up until I figured out I needed to download the new Canva, and then all of a sudden the settings started working again, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is impossible. But lesson learned on that. But other than that, everything's been going well. I mean, um, the year's been going really fast. Everybody talks about time and how we're experiencing a shift in our perception of time. Not just like one person or just like older people, but everybody in general. feels like there is time is speeding up, and that's kind of a crazy feeling. Um, because you're like, wait a minute, we just had Christmas. What's going on? Like, you know, I don't know. The years for me just fly by. I don't have a sense of like, oh, was that 5 years ago already? Like, I don't really have. Um, yeah, that's how I feel about things. That things are just super fast. But and I've also moved so much in the last few years that every time I move, everything just seems fast. Like, oh, it's time to move again. Um, but anyway, that's a story for another day. So yeah, I took the dog for a walk this morning in the park, and he had a good time. And the little kitty, Stormy, she's been doing good too. All right, well, I hope you guys stay tuned for the spooky ghost story. So that'll be next. Tonight's story is called Library Spectators by Chasing Texas Style Ghosts by Brad and Barry Klein. And as you know, I've been trying to read in this book because these are paranormal investigators that try to prove the existence that the spirits do exist by using like EMF and audio recordings and stuff like that. So it's not just somebody's imagination. They try to prove it. And they've been doing this for many, many years, and they are here in Texas. And since I live in Texas, and most of them that listen to my stories live in Texas, I think it's very interesting. So, all right, well, this is chapter 14. The DeAnger building in Bernie, Texas has been many things in its long and illustrious history: a general store, a feed store, a bank, a restaurant, a real estate office, a grocery, and since 1991, a public library. I must say this book is a little bit older, so it's not a public library anymore. It's actually a boutique, a little coffee shop, um, restaurant at this moment. Built in the 1880s by German immigrants Joe and Ida DeAnger, who raised 7 children in it, the two-story limestone structure with Victorian gingerbread details looks every inch the classic haunted house it is rumored to be. Even as kids, we heard the place had ghosts. When we were in high school playing football against Bernie, we would drive past the Deanger building on South Main as we headed to and from games and wonder if the stories were true. Naturally, when we formed Everyday Paranormal, we called the library and offered to investigate for them. Though the building is mentioned in countless books about haunted places in Texas, the staff informed us that we were the first paranormal team that had offered to check out the many claims of activity in the library. The staff member liked the idea of ghost hunting, haunting their workplace, and it made the library that much more interesting. They also liked the idea of having to investigate to see whether our evidence would validate the claims, and they gave us an open invitation to bring in our team and equipment any night after the patrons had left for the evening. The DeAnger Building, an official Texas historic landmark recognized in the National Registry of Historic Places, sits in the heart of Bernie's quaint, picturesque town square tucked in among antique shops and atmospheric inns. We arrived after nightfall with Hector, Mike Berger, and 2 everyday paranormal newcomers named Brent and Lou, and the canine team member Keto, the same 5-year-old boxer who had accompanied us to Laurel's house at the edge of Enchanted Rock. We began that night's work by speaking at length with adult services librarian Natalie Morgan, who told us that she and her coworkers had all run across what they thought was ghostly activity at one time or another. They would often walk through rows of books and discover that the volumes had fallen off the shelf, though no one had been in the room. It's possible that the books were put back on their shelves carelessly, we asked. Maybe they were perched near the edge and about to fall anyway, and with a little help of gravity. Definitely not, Natalie told us. The librarians made a habit of patrolling the rows to make sure all the books were neatly aligned and pushed well back from the edges of the shelf. That might be the case if it happened once, Natalie said, but it happens pretty regularly. Once more, from time to time, Natalie felt sure that somebody was standing near her even though she was working alone. When she first joined the library staff, she assured she was the only one she assumed she was the only one who felt it, but gradually she heard more and more people begin to describe the same sensation. It happened more often on the back staircase. Staff members had seen shadows um, uh, through the dark, disembodied voices and occasionally glimpsed full bodied apparitions here and in the basement. It's unusual for a 19th century Texan building to have a basement. Most were built without them, and many buildings still are because the soil tends to be either too hard or rocky, and it's nearly impossible to carve out a full, shifty, unstable clay. If not that, then there's limestone under construction that would tend to hold water that leaked in and just be like a swimming pool. The library building was antique in another respect, too. It stayed in the DeAnger family until 1967 when a group of 9 local businessmen purchased it and found um, 2,000 deer and moose antlers in the basement, trophies from Joe DeAnger's many successful hunts. That same year, they opened a pioneer style restaurant serving hill country cuisine and called it the Antlers Restaurant in honor of the find. We ran our first EVP session in the upstairs meeting room that had been part of the DeAnger family's dry goods store and now said to be a hotspot for paranormal activity in the building. Joe and Ida DeAnger were strict, and after the Antlers restaurant management team opened a bar in this room, it agitated like poltergeist like activity started occurring. Glasses and bottles would inexplainably fly off shelves and tables and crash on the floor. And according to the patrons and members of the wait staff who had witnessed it, some of the employees reported seeing a male apparition walking back and forth in front of the bar, and it eventually came to light that the room had once been of the DeAngers' master bedroom and that Joe had taken his last breath there. Though staff wondered, as we did, if the paranormal activity suggested that Joe was unhappy about people serving and drinking alcohol in his bedroom and was venting with displeasure even after death. We decided that some provoking in the hopes of getting a response from the family, presuming that they were the ghosts in the residence. Is that you, Miss Danger, Mrs. Danger? We're all going to have a round of beer. We got whiskey. We're all going to get drunk tonight. How about it? Does drinking upset you? I understand you didn't like alcohol. Why is that? The ghosts didn't take the bait here, though. Not a scrap of evidence showed up. It was hardly the beginning after so many years wondering about the famously haunted building. We had so much better luck in the back stairwell. First, Keto, he's the dog, he made a hit on it, becoming visibly nervous at the front of the stairs. Though he didn't panic as he had done at Laurel's house, he froze at the first step, his ears perked up, and his eyes fixed on the point of the hallway halfway up, and we were as if he were reacting to something none of us could see. We eventually coaxed him up to the landing where he hesitated every step, behavior he didn't exhibit in other parts of the Anger building. It was first of the 3 places where Keto made hits. We collected supporting evidence for all of them. The piece of the stairwell was the most interesting. As we watched the playback of the greenish black infrared footage from the DVR that we had positioned in the stairs, I saw myself standing on the landing saying, I need you to show yourselves. Make a sound. A knock, footsteps, talk. Suddenly, a young boy's voice, high pitched, became audible over our own. It blurted out excitedly, "See? See them at the top of the stairs?" The child seemed to be commenting to someone else, like himself, about us, as if he had caught sight of our team and wasn't sure what to make of us. Could this be the data to reinforce our theory about the evidence of parallel universes? We wondered just as we had heard the EVP saying, "Ask if they're real." At that, at the Freeman Coliseum, if an EVP was the voice of a spirit that existed in another dimension and was temporarily able to catch a glimpse of ours, if so, what happened opened the window between the two dimensions? Why did it close so quickly? Our audio recorders didn't catch the voice, which presented another puzzle. The two devices used similar technology, were equally sensitive into sound, and were operating near each other. Why did the video camera pick up the noise, while the audio recorders missed it? The EVP suggested that at least one of the activities in the library qualified as intelligent haunting. The spirit had the capability to look at us and react. The investigators were the ones to the investigators were the ones to be investigated from its perspective. Now, next, we moved to the basement. Keto didn't like it here at all, and I didn't blame him. It was a creepy setting. I could see why the staff got spooked when they walked down here alone. The space had original dirt floors, stone walls, and ceilings so low my baseball cap brushed the exposed insulation and piping overhead as I walked around. There was an orb inside, too, dust particles everywhere, kicking up as we stepped in. As mentioned earlier, we never put much stock in the notion of orbs constituting paranormal evidence. These orbs circles sometimes show up in both digital and traditional film photographs, appearing to float through ordinary rooms, are just like pieces of dust or moisture, and we're far less concerned, and they're just a nuisance. They get in the way of collecting legitimate evidence on video and camera. Fortunately, they didn't prevent us from collecting a great piece of audio that night. Barry and I were walking in the neighborhood sections of the basement, separated by banks of insulation, able to hear but not see each other. We heard someone whispered, "Barry, was that you?" "No, but I heard it too," he said. Our entire team was in the basement at this point, and inspecting various corners of it. In every corner of the room, we heard a whisper. None of us could make out the words, though. Later, we played the evidence and found the EVP sounded like a child's voice at the exact moment we heard the noise in real time, but the words were high pitched and unintelligible. Remember, the multilingual evidence we collected in Institute of Texas Cultures occurred to us that the disembodied voices in this building can be speaking German, because this was a German speaking settlement a century ago, and the Diangers were no exception. We took the recording to a German teacher in a local high school for the following week to let her listen to it. She apologized because she could not make out any words either. We tried another tack. We slowed the recording down, and eventually we heard a voice saying clearly in English, "Bet you can't find her." We learned later about the Danger children who often played hide and seek in the basement. That meant we had an exciting piece of evidence, a VP, a voice audible in real time, supported by historical information. We also opened up a new angle to investigate. Could we assume that paranormal speech would mirror the normal speed of a living person's conversation? The speed at which we speak is tied to only factors like confidence, emotional state, birthplace. We Texans tend to speak more slowly than New Yorkers, for instance, and we also need to breathe. Ghosts wouldn't have that need. What are the ramifications for this for those of us collecting EVPs? At the same point in the basements, we caught a scrap of conversation between a man and a woman. Try as we might, couldn't clarify or amplify the sound enough to understand the words. Only the distinct pitches of a male voice making comment to the female voice answering. Next, we moved to the first floor where Barry examined the hallway that separates the old general store from the main library. We're zeroed in on the area for several reasons. Shortly after we arrived early in the evening, Brent had opened the door for a woman in an old fashioned dress with her hair in a bun, assuming she was one of the librarians accompanying us on our investigation. About an hour later, I glanced down the hall and thought I saw a sight of a woman in a white dress moving through the darkness and then vanishing. Neither Brent nor I knew about the other's personal experience until we took a break and compared stories later. It sounded like we had seen the same apparition. It wasn't long before Barry, too, spied the woman. This time she walked down the door and left side of the hallway to a bookshelf to the right and seemed to disappear into it. He yelled to the rest of us immediately, started snapping photos. Okay, he announced. I know you're here. You're on the count of three. I want you to appear in my picture. Ready? One, two, three. And he started snapping away. Yeah, right, like that's going to work, I thought skeptically. But it did. We went over the dozens of digital shots later on screen, and sure enough, one revealed a black figure the size and shape of a human being, exactly where Barry had seen the apparition. We're not the type to stare at ink blot tests and say we see elephants in them, but this sure looked like a woman in a dress to us. We thought we can even discern an old fashioned leather boot at the bottom of the shadow. The figure appeared to be stepping out of the doorway behind Brent and in front of me. Both Brent and I were in perfect focus. The clarity of the image and the fact that the phantom appeared between the two of us suggested to us the anomaly was no simple technological glitch. It wasn't, for instance, like a blob accidentally generated by his thumb grazing the frame. We deemed it as solid evidence to support the interesting personal experiences their everyday paranormal crew members had encountered in the area. It actually appeared on command. At first for us, it was the first for us at Everyday Paranormal. All right, well, a lot of this goes next into like history on the library. Um, then the dog. I'm going to skip some of the history stuff. Um, So some of and then the dog, we brought Keto again, and he made a hit at the bathroom in the back of the building. We were wrapping the investigation up as we carried our equipment out to the load it up in the back of the car. We passed the bathroom and heard a noise inside it. We peered inside, and what was that? Was water had turned on by itself. We took pictures of the video footage. We inspected the hardware to see whether the handles were loose. They weren't. We asked the team members whether anyone had used the bathroom, and no one had. No one had been in that part of the building. The next day, we asked Natalie and her coworkers whether this happened from time to time. Maybe the old building had plumbing quirks. No, they said, shaking their heads. That's never happened. So yeah, the rest of this is about that the public library was going to be moved and closed down, and um, that it was going to be turned into just a historic building that it still is today, but it's not a cultural and heritage center like they had planned. Like I said, it turned into a little cafe shop and a boutique shop, which I've been there. I didn't even understand the history of it. I just thought it was a really cool ancient building. But now that I know some of the history of it, that's just amazing. Um, but I didn't eat inside because there's like a courtyard outside and like the little tables you can eat outside. And I think me and my daughter, we had coffee and sandwiches there. But it's a pretty nice little um, place to go see if you're in Boerne, Texas. Stop by that building. If I said the family's name wrong, the anger, I apologize. Um, I kind of went to look up some history on them to see if they had uh, children that died young or something. Because I'm like, why are they hearing children's voices? Um, what I found was their kids all died of various ages. One was 17, one was 24, and then one was like 50, 50 something, and then the one lived to be like 80s and 90s. So they kind of all had different ranges of ages. But I did find something really creepy. is that the dad died on 1 year, and then like the son died a year after his dad, and then his mother died a year after her. Like they all died 1 year apart, and that was kind of creepy. And then I looked also further into the grandchildren, and there was I think a case where they had died 1 year apart from each other too. It was just like, why? I don't understand. That is so weird to me. So I think there's just a lot more going on with that family. But um, yeah, so that's a spooky ghost story. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show for June. I'll see you next month in August. I hope you have a good full moon tonight. Go get some, well, put some water outside, make some moon water, put your crystals out, purify them, and just think about what you want to do for the next month. What's ahead? Don't look behind. Keep looking ahead. All right, I'll see you next month. Take care.